Welcome to this new video about Forza Horizon 6, in which I'm going to share with you a bunch of little details and some lesser-known things that I've noticed about the game. I have a lot of things to show you. Everything I'm going to show you today was captured on the Axion 6P version of Forza Horizon 6. There might be some small things that will be a little different in the final game, even though I think it will be mostly the same. And the things I'm going to show you today aren't necessarily related to each other. Sometimes I'll talk to you about little things related to the map, sometimes about things related to the cars, and sometimes about things related to the gameplay itself. I have a whole bunch of stuff to tell you and show you. I wanted to start this video with a few visual details that I found particularly cool in this Forza Horizon 6, which also help answer some questions I've seen in the comments on my other videos about the game so far. For example, if you stop your car, you'll see that for the very first time in Forza Horizon history, the cars have smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe. First of all, it makes things more realistic, but above all, I feel like, and maybe it's just me going crazy from playing so much Forza Horizon 6, I don't know, but I feel like the amount of exhaust smoke isn't exactly the same depending on the time of day. I notice more in the morning and evening, so it might be the lighting. But I also think developers may have tied exhaust smoke levels to the weather, just like in real life. Cars smoke more when it's cold in the morning or evening, and less when it's warm and sunny during the day. Also, I have good news since I've seen this question come up in the comments. Yes, Forza Horizon 6 features waves on the water. While Horizon 5 had mostly flat water, that's no longer the case, or at least, it's much less so. We're not talking about having tsunamis or rogue waves, but there are definitely a few more waves. And here too, the water system takes quite a few things into account, since the water doesn't behave the same way depending on whether we're by the ocean or by a lake. You can see in these images, we're at the edge of a lake that's right next to Mount Fuji, which is actually a beautiful place, I think. And here, the lake water is completely calm and almost totally flat, which actually allows for some pretty incredible mirror effects when there's a sunset or sunrise. And another thing I've also noticed after visiting Tokyo a lot in Forza Horizon 6 is that there really is a traffic light system. That's something we've never had in Forza Horizon before, unless I'm mistaken. For a game with such a large city, having traffic lights is great since real cities have them. It's perfect for players who want to drive RP style and obey traffic rules. But what's pretty interesting is that I feel like most of the time, not always, but most of the time, the AI respects the traffic light colors. When it's red at an intersection, the AI tends to stop at the red light, and when it's green, they start moving again. To clarify, I'm referring to the traffic AI here, not the Drivatar AI that represents drivers in the open world. They don't necessarily follow it, and actually, I also feel like maybe it's the same. Maybe I'm just going crazy from playing the game so much, but I feel like when you arrive really fast at a road with red lights, the game system automatically switches it to green so you don't have a collision at the intersection. Another thing I noticed after spending a lot of time going through the game's menus, filtering the game's activities, is that when I scrolled all the way down, I found an activity we've never seen before in Forza Horizon, called Jobs. I couldn't try these jobs in Forza Horizon 6 on the 6P build since they're unavailable, but they're definitely related to deliveries. For example, we might be able to work for a company, maybe delivering sushi as a nod to Initial D, maybe delivering auto parts, maybe even working as a taxi driver. Or maybe we'll be able to deliver cars, like we could back in Forza Horizon 4 with the luxury car rental job. I think there will be a whole bunch of little activities in Forza Horizon 6 that we can do to earn money in the game, without necessarily having to race or drive super fast. And that's really cool for the RP aspect. The second thing I noticed is that in the main menu of the game, even though I can't activate it, there is definitely a gift drop tab available. And in my opinion, that's confirmation that in Forza Horizon 6, we're going to see the return of the gift system from Forza Horizon 5, which lets you give cars to other players. So we'll see how it works, but in Horizon 5 it worked with the barn find system. There were a bunch of barns where you could hide cars to give to other players. You have to find them, and if they found them, the car would disappear from your garage and end up in another player's garage. This feature seems to be back. In Forza Horizon 6, we'll really see how it works. I also wanted to discuss several sound-related aspects of the game in this video. For example, a small but interesting detail, something only true car enthusiasts might notice, is that the car's idle sound has been redone. In Forza Horizon 5, when you stopped your car, it made a tiny bit of noise, but very quietly. Now, when your car is idling, there's a different sound for each car, and it's a bit louder, and above all, a bit more realistic. You know, it vibrates. There are little clicks, just like in real life. I'll let you listen to 23 examples. You can really hear the cars idling more, which I think is a cool detail. By the way, while we're talking about sound, you can hear it now. There are two cars coming onto the map, AI cars, Drivatars. And that's another little detail that's nice. The sound of the AI cars is louder than before, and it's positioned more accurately in space. I'll be quiet, let's listen to them coming. And here, it's the same, and it's perfect, and it lets me make a pretty cool little transition. Sometimes AIs like this listen to music, and you can hear it from outside if it's loud. That's not true for all, like the first S2000, which isn't playing music. The second one, the black one that just went by, had the music blasting. By the way, about the AIs, I have a lot of things to show you, but I think that'll come a little later in this video. First, I'd like to finish with my points about sound. Many small car sound details have been updated, including new turbo and supercharger sounds. The overall sound mix is also improved so you can hear things like turbos opening and closing more clearly. Let me show you an example with the GTR. There's that, but also new transmission noises, some cracking sounds too. And all these things will differ from one car to another, and especially, they'll also differ depending on the parts you equip. For example, the sound you hear in the background, that kind of whistling, that's not the turbo. In this case, it's the transmission. And that's a sound that only appears when you install the racing transmission, for example. There are a whole bunch of little details like that in the game that are really cool. And to finish up the sound section of this video, I also wanted to highlight the fact that the developers have reworked, let's say overall, pretty much all of the environmental sounds. When you're not driving and just listening, there's a lot happening around you. Depending on the environment, here you'll hear more waves and more seagulls. You'll hear it more when it's windy or raining. If you go near a wind turbine, you'll also hear its sound. Forza Horizon 6 has many small details like that. You may think we don't care, but it's all the little things, the bird sounds, the wind rustling leaves, that make it feel like you're really there. Also, there are many new super cool car details. I'm mainly referring to the car modeling, for example. A small detail, if you zoom in on the carbon, you'll see that the carbon is now much more detailed than before, and even looks rough. You almost feel like you could touch it. And what's pretty cool is that there are also differences between the different materials. For example, if you look at the carbon on the hood, it's not the same as the carbon that's here, and it's also not the same as the carbon that's on the car's splitter. There are also a whole bunch of new details when it comes to the headlights, which are much more precisely modeled, with real precision for all the little LED modules and all the small bulbs that you can really see up close. This attention to detail also applies to the car interiors, even for things you don't necessarily see. For example, if I open the hood of my Nissan GT-R 35, there are many engine details, even though you never actually see it while playing. You can see that the plastics look like plastic, the metals look like metal. You can see all the little details of every hose, every little pipe, all the tiny things that really serve no purpose in the game. That's what's crazy. Even the paint on the cars is better done than before. For example, take the Super 5 in Forza Horizon 5, and in Forza Horizon 6 put them in the same colors. And if you get really close to the paint, you'll notice that in Horizon 6 there are actually a whole bunch of tiny sparkles. Here, maybe you can't see it too well. That's just like in real life, meaning if you take a metallic paint and look at it in real life, there are a whole bunch of tiny sparkles that stand out when you look at the paint up close with certain light reflections. They're there now, which we didn't have, or at least not as well, in Forza Horizon 5. It's even clearer from the back of the car. And what's true for the outside is also true for the inside, meaning if you look at the interior of the car, all these materials are much cleaner than before. For example, here, you can see the difference very clearly in the reflections between the carbon fiber and the leather, but also between the leather and the plastic, between the different types of carbon fiber, and even with the Alcantara that you'll find, for example, on the dashboard of this car. All these little details simply weren't present in Forza Horizon 5. There are several small visual details I wanted to show you in this video, even if some are minor. I still thought they were cool. For example, there's vegetation handling, and there's also, let's say, flower petal simulation that's really advanced. Oh, damn. Incredible. Oh my god, the key truck. You see, that's what I was telling you earlier, when we go do jobs in the game. In my opinion, the little truck you see in front is the kind of vehicle we'll use for deliveries. But that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you, for example, is the impact your car has when you drive, for example, on this road, in the flowers. You can really see it. The flowers are pushed back, and sliding into them will make a hole. Let's say in the surface that's covered with flowers. It's a small detail, but I think it's really cool. And by the way, even if you go as far as drifting and throwing them somewhere, They fall back where they're supposed to, and it lets you cover the ground a bit further away. It doesn't serve a purpose, but it's the kind of thing you want in a game set in Japan, so it's cool that it's included. There's another detail that I find pretty cool. So I'm gonna have to show it to you in photo mode because it's not nighttime in the game right now, it's daytime. And I can't wait all day for it to get dark in the game. But now, the cars have completely different lighting from one car to another. For example, the GTR has lighting that's pretty modern, kind of bluish. And there's a visual trail that reflects in the dust, that reflects in all the little things that can be in front of us, like flower pollen and their petals. There's a really visible trail there, which is what I'm showing you right now. That's something we didn't have in Forza Horizon 5, at least not as clearly. Unfortunately, in photo mode, it's not animated, so we lose a bit of the wow factor. But actually, when you're driving at night in a forest, in a slightly damp area where there might be fog or mist, when you have your headlights on and you see your whole headlight beam really lighting up the few dozen meters in front of you, there's a really ultra-cinematic feel to it, which is super cool. And what I was telling you, what's really cool, is that it really changes from one car to another, the shape of the beam, but also its color. That means if you switch to an older car that has, let's say, headlights with a bit more of a yellowish light, it'll be the same in the game. And if you go for really old models that actually have yellow headlights, you can see that too. It's really a detail, but it's extremely cool. I also wanted to talk to you again about something I noticed almost from my very first video on the game, and actually showed you when we toured Tokyo. There are a lot more areas with pedestrians in this Forza Horizon 6. There are really a lot of places where there are pedestrians just living their lives on the sides like that. They're always in places you can't reach by car. You know, the idea is that you can't really get close to them. You can't run them over because obviously it wouldn't be a game rated for ages 3 and up anymore, but probably 18 and up. But actually, there are civilians all over the place. And that really changes, let's say, the vibe of the game. It makes it feel much more real. And what's pretty cool too is that often, the pedestrians, yeah, that's it, the civilians in the game, are just living their lives, and it's not uncommon for you to come across them doing something. So either they're quietly chatting with their family in their yard. You see, when I was talking about pedestrians doing random activities sometimes in the street, well, here they are fixing their car. You see, that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. By the way, the dirt buildup system in Forza Horizon 6 is more advanced than in Forza Horizon 5. In Horizon 5, it was already impressive. Driving on sand or dirt made the car realistically dirty. Here, I think they used several things they tried in the Rally Adventure DLC for Forza Horizon 5. And now the car getting dirty isn't, how should I say, random anymore, but it's procedural. That means now, sand or mud on your car will stick to the bodywork exactly where it actually happens. There's no longer a system like in Forza Horizon 5 where there were dirt levels, and as you went through those levels, the car would just look dirtier. Here, it's literally the dust that will settle exactly where it's supposed to settle when you're driving. It's a small, silly detail, but honestly, it's really cool. There's another thing I noticed as I kept driving in this Forza Horizon 6 beta. The AI behaves a little differently than before. Both in races and in the open world, they tend to drive a lot more aggressively than before. I'll try to show you that later, even though I'm not sure I can really demonstrate it. As soon as you pull up next to an AI, it'll speed up to race against you, and it'll do it in a, let's say, a bit more aggressive way. Already, in the open world, it's really cool, especially for those little trips on the highway like this. When you're in traffic, you really feel like you're racing a bit in a noisy kind of way. With less traffic, sure, but still, there's a bit of that feeling. In races, the AIs are also a bit faster, I'd say, than in Forza Horizon 5. Actually, I feel like there's a step up in difficulty. Here, I'm on expert difficulty, which isn't the highest difficulty, but it's the third highest. And I feel like the AIs on this expert difficulty mode are a notch faster. Basically, for me, it's as if they're on Pro in Forza Horizon 5, which is the difficulty just above expert. I feel like the AIs are a little bit harder to beat, a little bit faster at the same difficulty level. I want to clarify it's not an issue, since this game actually offers about 7 or 8 different difficulty levels, which means that even if you're very slow, even if you're a beginner at the game, you can still win races, because you can lower the AI so that it's slower. For those used to expert mode in Forza Horizon, Horizon 6 will be a bit of a shock since they're simply a notch stronger. And their behavior, well, I think they must have benefited from a lot of little things that were experimented with back in the days of Forza Motorsport. Because let's remember that Horizon 6 was developed in partnership between the Forza Horizon studio and also the Forza Motorsport studio. They're going to have reactions that are already a bit more human, but above all, a bit safer. They're going to keep a bit more distance from you to avoid collisions as much as possible. Actually, a big difference compared to Forza Horizon 5 is that in this Forza Horizon 6, the AI is able to move a bit out of its optimal trajectory to avoid a collision with you, or to get out of a collision with you. That's something. Did you see that right in front, what just happened? That's exactly what I wanted to show. We saw the Mitsubishi Eclipse move over to the left side so that the Nissan 300ZX, which was on the right, could take its own line to avoid collisions. So we have AIs that are a bit less scripted, less on rails, and overall a bit more aware of your presence. And at the same time, they're also a bit faster, and it makes races more interesting to play. So there are probably a whole bunch of other things, a whole bunch of other details that we'll discover in the final game, especially when it comes to the cars, their customization, and there will probably be plenty of little secrets too, and a whole bunch of modes we couldn't test. Well, I was going to say today, but in general, that I haven't been able to test these past few weeks. In any case, these are really the little things I've noticed over the past few weeks that I think make the difference between Horizon 6 and Horizon 5. So we'll see in the final game how it turns out, and there will probably be even more things to go into detail about and notice everywhere. But all the things I've shown you today, I think they really help make the game world worth exploring. It's up to you to tell me what you think in the comments. In any case, we're reaching the end of this video. Feel free to leave a like to give my channel a little boost, and subscribe for future videos. Let me remind you that Horizon 6 is 30% cheaper through my instant gaming link, which you'll find below this video in the pinned comment. And let me remind you that I have a Twitch channel where I regularly do live streams, so feel free to follow me using the link you'll find in the pinned comment, and use your Twitch Prime to support me if you want to thank me for the content I provide about the game. Thanks to those who will keep that in mind. See you in the next video. Bye.